Hello, everybody. Welcome to your favorite podcast, Generational Gains. This is my dad, Greg Herleen, and myself, Carson Herleen, based out of Southern California, talking about all things money. Welcome. Those of you who are brand new, we welcome you. We're excited to get to share with you guys a little insight from us in our weeks. Those of you who are tenured, you've been around all this stuff for months and years, thanks for continuing to watch. We hope that what we're sharing provides more and deeper insights each time, and you can get just a little nugget every single time. That's all it usually is. It's like maybe a 30-minute podcast, but let's just get a quick little nugget, take something that helps us improve. Don't need to get everything, but look for that nugget today. Today, we want to talk about what we have experienced with clients in the last week, month, just a couple of different scenarios that we find are very common, and we find that usually talking about these just basic scenarios or basic questions, everyone has those same scenarios and questions because they're just kind of the standard. And so others can relate to it, others can understand and maybe get a deeper insight by seeing a real life example. You know, we talk a lot about on our podcast stuff like self-directing IRAs like my dad does, and then kind of the different life insurance strategies that I teach. And so it's more kind of overall topics we talk about a lot, but we want to today kind of go deep into like specific situations so you can get a real life kind of realistic figure of a scenario and you kind of put that into your own life. And so starting with just kind of self-directing, Dad, you meet with people and your team does every single day teaching these strategies of how you can self-direct your money and invest in things that you want to and you understand. And when I talk to people about self-directing, the big fear, literally someone today, 2 hours ago, just told me that he had 800 grand sitting in a brokerage account, mostly in index funds and S&P. And he was like, I'm nervous. Like the tech market, where things are going, AI, it's inflated. I kind of want to pull everything out because I'm not confident that this is going to produce good returns over the next few years as I get into my retirement age. And so he was looking at self-directing his account and starting to do some real estate deals that he could control, he could manage, and it was going to be better for him and what he wanted. So anyway, that's a specific situation. But for you, what's been going on lately? What clients have you talked to? And do you have any good scenarios we can talk to our audience about?
Yeah, I mean, look, so I've been investing now for 25, 26 years, and I've seen...
Longer than me. How have I been alive?
Longer than your life, and I've seen some down markets, some up markets. I mean, even recently now, if we talk about, people ask all the time about what you should invest in. And look, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not here to advise on your money, but I want to share with you kind of what I've seen in my past personally, and also the kind of average client that comes to us in the last week or two. I'll share with you. First of all, crypto's crazy. And
Why?
I mean, it's dropped in half.
Yeah. What's Bitcoin at right now? Like 60?
It's like it's in the 60s, 50, somewhere between 55 and 67.
Yeah, something like that.
Helicopter going by, as you can hear. We're going to keep going, not a problem. So, crypto's a great example. I mean, in the last couple 6, 4, 5 weeks has been pretty intense, which leads me to share this with you. One of the main questions people ask is, who should do this and what do they look like? What's the avatar that should be working with us at Horizon Trust Company? So I would say, first of all, people love what I talk about in general because they want to invest in alternative assets, but then they might only have $5,000 or $10,000. And I'll just tell you right now, it's probably not for those individuals. If you have 5 or 10 grand, maybe even 40 or 50 grand, it just might not be for you yet. And that's okay. I believe that you need to build up a little bit of nest egg and some experience before you start investing in the alternative asset space.
True.
I learned that the hard way because at first I was all in the stock market, then I was all in real estate, and then I was all in alternative assets, but not in the market. And then now, after the last, I'd say 6, 7 years, I've finally found and learned a little bit the hard way of how to invest that makes me feel comfortable.
And guess what? It's going to change. I bet you 5 years from now you're going to say something different.
I hope not.
I hope it works out.
Well, no, I feel like I've lost enough money and been through enough down cycles that I don't think it will change. And here's why I say that.
Sure.
Because I'm not going to go all in anymore on alternative assets and real estate. And I did that for 15 years.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go all in the stock market. And so for me, I want to go back to the basics of 10 to 15% of my money into alternative assets, 10 or 15% into something super conservative, like in the SAFE method in your insurance policies. And then take that other 60, 70% and go into conservative, for me, not aggressive, market play. I'm okay with the market. I don't hate on the market. I think it's a good place. But going all in too hard in any sector that you don't understand is dangerous. So the right individuals that should work with us at Horizon Trust Company are people that have a little bit of a savings, a little bit of a retirement account, that have probably in the range of 75 to 150,000 or more in their retirement account, and they want to tip their toes into an asset class that they know and they understand. Could be crypto, could be real estate, could be precious metals, could be a new business. But let's say you have $100,000 and you put $15,000 to $25,000 into one of these alternative assets. That could double, triple. Your $25,000 could turn into $50,000 or $75,000.
Okay.
Awesome. That's who I think this is for today. So if you have $200,000, $300,000, you want to put $50,000 to maybe $100,000 in a real estate transaction, that is who this is for today.
Okay.
Then you take some other places, maybe the stock market, and maybe the insurance policy that has guarantees and some fixed rate of returns, and come up with this perfect plan for you. And I do agree with you. It is ever changing, but I think what's going to change for me in the next 5 years is the percentages I just said.
Sure.
I think it might go from maybe 15 to 20 to maybe 18 to 22.
Sure.
But I'm never going to go all back into real estate and or the stock market and or just an all in on insurance policy and the cash values. But putting together the perfect combination will prepare me for the ups and downs of today's world. So the average client, I'll end on this and go, the average client that I'm seeing is someone who's investing between $50,000 and $100,000 in a self-directed IRA into one or two assets and still has other monies in other buckets. That's the average client that I'm seeing today. And I think that is a misconception that you might have even heard from me, even you. I've not ever said it, but you might have perceived it, that you should get out of the market and invest in what you know and put it all in there. Yes and no. You should move some of it in there and walk conservatively for these down markets. So that's what I've seen in the last week or two. I can give you a little more specifics, but that's in general who our avatar is, who I'm talking to at Horizon Trust.
Yeah, and it makes me think it's interesting because like when the traditional financial advisor and traditional financial models for the past 200 years or 100 years or so, it's been percentage towards bonds, percentage towards stocks. As you get older, you fade more into the bond market to guarantee your assets and produce more income or secure your income in retirement. And so I think it's interesting what you're saying because I'm not going to do what you just said. I'm in a different spot in life. I think I have to kind of take bigger swings or go all in on projects I find that are profitable and lucrative. Does that mean I'm going to have maybe more ups and downs and more volatility? Yes. You're looking to minimize volatility to ensure your assets and income in retirement and that just phase of life. Whereas I'm in the accumulation phases where it's different. So I think it's interesting you say that just because of what financial advisors teach and just like the basic models of investing and adding less risk over time is kind of what you're talking about doing for yourself. And talking about self-directing, I think there's an aspect of that as well. Like, your point, not everyone will move all their assets over to self-directed because then they have to pick their own investments and figure out 100% where the money's going, and that's not always doable for some people. And so there is some aspect of things are different for everybody, and it changes as you get older, and it sounds like you're just kind of coming back to almost the traditional financial investment models of like lowering your risk over time.
Sure, but what I'll say, and this is probably perfect for our title, Generational Gains, and with a father and son, is two things. One, you have less to lose. So that's why you're willing to go all in and take more risk.
Totally.
Which is why I'm not saying you shouldn't. Well, I guess I am saying that I disagree a little bit with what you're saying. I wish that during those 10 or 15 years where I was pushing and going hard on real estate, making some big gains, but also big losses, I wish I would have still done maybe 10 or 20% of what I said, which is gone to the market, even if it's the bonds, and just be conservative. Because that conservative, let's say if I would have put $10,000 a year away for 15 years when I was just going all in on real estate, that
would have
number,
built you a foundation.
That would be a big number today. And so looking back on it, the advice I give, probably even to you today, saying that you wouldn't do that model, is I would tweak your percentages, but don't go all in on whatever it is you're doing, if it's real estate or insurance or it's a new business, because that 10 to 15 years kicked my ass in certain places, like in the real estate market. So yeah, the percentages have changed though.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, that's who my avatar is. That's who I typically talk to. And frankly, it's fun. But that's the other thing I'll say is my clients like doing and investing in something else that's not the market. That's who I am. I've got it in me.
It's almost like you sell to like a little bit of like the hoo rah rah, or like motivation and change your life, and like people. But what, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it's just a part of the idea, because some people need that push. They need that motivation to take not a swing, but take a different direction with their financial life. They've been told to do something forever. They've done it forever, and someone needs to motivate them and excite them and make investing fun and push someone towards doing those type of things. And it almost requires to be that kind of motivational person, I guess, in terms of that
motivational
conversation.
Like, yeah, you can do it. And so for me, the motivational when I do teach others is first educate, because most people don't know they can do it. And then number two, encourage them like that not only can you do it, but this is how you do it.
Yeah.
And so the one thing, if I was sitting here right now and said, hey, I'd only put away 25 or 50,000 a year and just did the market 15 years, I'd be sitting here saying I would have been saying, I wish I had done a real estate deal every year.
Sure.
And instead I did real estate, so I wish I did a little bit more of that. And so I mean, I would say to any individual listening that they should invest in real estate if they can every single year with their IRA or not their IRA.
Yeah.
That is very powerful for me to get the bigger gains. So I would also recommend that, and that's why I think self-directing has been so powerful for me.
It's awesome. So then changing topics and moving towards just life insurance and some other strategies that we talk about and kind of who we're working with.
Yeah, give an example. Do you have an example of someone you said you talked to, even, I don't know if you said this week or a couple,
Yeah, so most people who are saving money, have a nest egg, want to self-direct and pick alternative assets to invest in, and they have a runway of time before they're going to retire. Just that criteria really is who we want to work with to show them how to actually plan for retirement income. A lot of people teach, financial advisors and investment gurus teach building up your assets as much as possible and investing in all these different things and taking the swings. But those big investments and those deals you're going to do, those don't actually produce, well, they might not actually be most efficient to produce the most income in retirement. Mm-hmm. A lot of people just assume once they hit 60 or 65, they can just take whatever assets they have and start pulling income from it with no plan, no direction, no reason on why they should do that. And that's not the case. There's a very specific amount of income you can take from your assets without running out of money when you're in retirement. And it's such a dangerous conversation, because if you're not planning for that, you're not preparing going up this mountain before retirement, and you're just hoping it works out, once you retire, if you don't have a plan and you just start doing whatever you want, you might be 70 and dead broke and run out of all your assets. You might be 70 and have to go back to work, which you probably couldn't do. You might be 70 and have medical problems and not be able to pay for it. Mm-hmm. Life's really, really difficult, or you make your family's life really difficult. And so how can you best be preparing for those things? And yes, picking different investments, self-directing alternative assets are great to help you build up the mountain, but you also need to be packing in your bag to go up that mountain assets and things that will help produce income in retirement, not just build up the asset number and make it as big as possible, because that might not actually be the best solution. And so that's where life insurance comes into play with these different investment opportunities, is having some other asset to put money that's safe, like you said, guaranteed, no risk, protected if you're ever sued, safe, has a death benefit to protect you. So if you passed, basically your family just gets that money now, and now they can have income the rest of their life. And so you're ensuring your family's safety, you're ensuring kids not to have to take care of you, and you have a system now where you have safe money that's available to help produce income in retirement. Mm-hmm. And so kind of like the idea you were saying of there's certain splits of how much you should be putting in different asset classes, we look at life insurance as like your fixed portfolio allocation, the bond allocation. If you're going to put 30% of your assets in bonds, like a traditional advisor would tell you to do, or 40% even, guess what? Life insurance is going to get better rate of returns. It's going to be tax-free, and it's still liquid. It's a better bond. That's really what it is. If you never touched it, never used it, just as an investment, it's a better bond. So I would say all of your safe assets you're looking to do, run it in a life insurance policy. Obviously has to be structured correctly, but everything could go into there. And then the rest of your assets, you can do whatever the heck you want with it because you have that foundation of some guarantees built into the plan. So not totally answering your question of the exact person we talked to, but that probably relates to everyone listening. Like that's
your avatar.
That's the point. That's the goal.
So I feel like your client is more like someone like me, not like you. Even though a client can be your age,
totally.
The client seems like is more between the maybe 35 and 55, who have a little nest egg, who are a little bit afraid of like what's happening in the market, who want some guarantees, who don't love bonds, but want some security. And by the way, you're describing me because when you shared a couple examples with me recently, I was like, that's who I am. Like I want to create my safe bucket.
Yes.
So if I do make some mistakes, as I have in the past in real estate deals, or the market recorrects, I've got this little bucket over here that's just churning every year. I'm putting money into.
Yeah.
That's safe.
Totally. And I think a lot of people too, I don't think they realize that there's a problem. Like I think
until it's too late. Almost.
Until it's too late. Yeah. So our client also is someone who's proactive. Like, yes, 40 to 65, who's like, hey, I know I have 10, 15, 20 years to prepare for this time. What am I going to do to get to that point? Yeah. And I don't feel like what my advisor is telling me is right. Like, sure, I could keep doing my 401k and keep getting a match, and maybe that's better, but assuming the market's going to work out. But that's not actually planning for income in retirement. That's just planning to try and invest and hope it grows. Like, that's not an actual plan. And so people don't realize that they don't actually have a plan. They assume that's the plan, and that's not. It's not going to work out. So I think there's an approach where what we both teach go together. It's strong values of having a plan, knowing what you're trying to save and invest in. If you can control your investments and pick certain investments that you like real estate, you should, and you should self-direct all of them, and you should get higher rates of return on those things if you can. You should take some risk, but you also have to build some strong guarantees and build a plan that's cohesive to build the best income in retirement and protect you while you do it.
If there is one thing that I could tell you that I wish I would have done differently, I'm going to go back to where we began with. I wish I would have taken and committed a certain dollar amount, even if it was $10,000 a year,
totally,
to a conservative bucket for the last 20 years, instead of taking timeouts for 5 or 10 years and not doing it. Now, thankfully, I had enough bigger wins to offset some of those. It would have put me in a position 5 or 6 years ago where I wouldn't have maybe take some of the risk and had some losses. I've had a loss every couple of years, that I don't think I would have had to take if I had this other safe bucket doing what it's supposed to be doing. So looking back on it, that's the advice I would give the younger self of my younger self, and to you now at this point, is use the safe bucket you're talking about and put a little bit more in it than maybe you even talk about or preach about, because you won't be sorry later.
Yep, I love it. So those of you listening, hope that was a lot. Hopefully you got something from that you can apply to your own life. And obviously, if you want to be learning these strategies that we teach for yourself, we're always here and welcome to answer questions and help. So if you can find us on Instagram, social media, or email us somewhere, I'm sure you can find it on our websites. Please reach out to us. We're here to help. But as you listeners who are always here, as you know, we always end our podcast with something we call sweet, sour, service, and gratitude, which is something we do around the family dinner table. And well, not at this point, none of your kids are at home really anymore, so it doesn't happen anymore. But it was something we did, and we do whenever we're together, where we talk about some sweets, sours, and highlights of our weeks. And today we'll just do one of the four, and I think you should go first. Well, I think of mine.
Easy for me this last week. We were able to ski in Aspen, so I got to see Summer in ski school. She had skis on, and she was shifting around the snow, which is all we expected. So that was a win to see a little 2-year-old in the snow. And it just reminded me of all you guys, like you all are good in the snow. And so I'm just getting her trained on now too. So that was a pretty cool story.
Did you like the ski boots?
Yeah, she was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
For me, sweet this last week was I actually flew to Utah, met with a partner, and we've built out some really cool plans and systems and teaching aspects of how we're going to be rolling out some of these strategies to our clients, and I'm super pumped about it. So that's been super fun.
Good. Well, thanks for joining us today, and keep following us. We'll keep having messages. Reach out to us if you have any questions. Have a great week.